Yes, indeed. November 23rd, 2025, 2 o'clock. Welcome to Sunday Live Chat. Some super special guests today. The legendary Steve Roach. Welcome, sir. And of
Thank you
course, the
so much.
legendary Soriah. What a team.
Yeah, here we are. Thank
I'm
you.
23, everybody.
absolutely,
23, everybody.
absolutely honored to have you guys here today. Just had a lot of people writing in and saying how Steve, you are literally like, you've opened so many doorways for so many people over the course of your, 43-year history of creating
Yeah,
music.
they put the years on it. Well, yeah, a lot of years, and but it just seems to go by in seconds when you just so love, being in these creative currents that we all are in, and that's what's so beautiful about sharing it together with you guys and with the audience, with our, everyone who's drinking from the same well there. It's really great.
It's amazing that, you kind of have truly created a genre in the sense that, uh, as we call it, progressive ambient electronic meditative music. Quite the terminology, but like when I listen to your music, I don't really hear what some people have called this standardly new age music. Always kind of like feel you may have opened the doors of dark ambient maybe years before maybe other people even dare to use that word.
That I appreciate that greatly, and that stigma early on of just the era that I started to emerge in as a solo synthesist, electronic artist was right at that dawn of the commercial aspect of new age. And I remember even having meetings with certain people in the writing and industry in LA and Topanga Canyon, and they were actually trying to figure out what to call it. And you know, they were using that word, the new age word, and I could already, feel that shackles, the hair coming up, knowing on the back of my neck what that would eventually be, this big dark shadow we had to try and get out of. But commercially, it stuck for a while, but thankfully, I think it doesn't hold the same, shadow that it did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that over time you've most certainly continued to define, I'll call it like the space that you define when you compose. What I love about it is that it almost seems to be you take us there and then we're there because of you and your inspiration, your influences time and time again. And over a course of 43 years and 200 releases, such consistency about your style. It's never something that I feel is like anything but solid originality from Steve Roach. I mean, it's we'll go in and talk about some detail here, but I think that's a quite an achievement. It's not like somewhere along the way you decided to be, well, I'm just gonna define, I'm just gonna be new age on this or something. It doesn't, it's, I like how it's non-defining. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and it really, the at all points along the way, I would I've always been drawn to something that's internally, nearly possessed by. And as an artist, I'm sure you understand that, both of you, where there's something just, alive in you that you're nurturing and you're letting out. And then in that process of nurturing it and expressing it, being in the creative process with it, it nurtures it, and then it starts to grow stronger and stronger. And so the confidence of being in that realm feeds what comes next. And for me, it would be, if I was an actor, I would want to be taking on all these different types of film roles where you go in and you get to morph into a whole other realm and express that, at the fullest degree of your ability. And then you go to what comes next. And so when I created Structures from Silence, and that hit such a nerve with everyone, and it just, that happened without any intention of making an album. It was like something I had to create purely for me. Surviving in LA, living in Culver City at that time in the early 80s, I needed that music as medicine. And apparently, a lot of people picked into that, felt into it. But I remember immediately after that came out, there was this expectation to do more of that. And I was already moving towards impetus and the sequencer and storm warning, that sequencer based material that was, fully raging, in terms of the polar opposite of structures. While that still was alive in me, it was important to just keep that progression, just stay true to what was pulling me, with the direction I was drawn towards.
It's funny because Dwayne and I always referred to some type of forms of music that could conjure, we used to call it crier music. If it
Mhm.
could literally touch you so deeply that you could literally just start crying.
Man,
And
I
I
totally get
mean,
that. Yeah.
that is an absolutely amazing thing I find. I know that you guys both seek and received inspiration from the desert. So, is that something that you in the sense of like Steve? Did you grow up, or you were saying around in Arizona, and that?
Well, I actually grew up in San Diego,
Yeah,
and, I'm an only child, so my parents were, they were great in the fact that they would go camping and we'd go to the desert and do desert camping, and especially that style of being out there at night, and I was easily entertained, looking for rocks and stuff out in the desert at that point as a young guy. But that influence of the space and the silence and the sound was one of the first influences before music for me, and what maintains its significance in my creative flow is that aspect of that place you go to, when you're in that. Silence is kind of subjective there, but that quality of that refinement of the aural environment that you're in, but so yeah, that in terms of the expansiveness, the sense of being out of your body, naturally, in that way, both physically and then sonically, huge. And it's alive every day. And the view from my time house here is 70, 80 miles into Mexico. I'm up on a ridge looking out, so I have that. That's what I look out when I'm mixing. So, yeah.
perfect. Still there then.
Yeah.
I
I actually have a little story about that. During the making of the album, I set myself up so I could see as far out into that vista as I possibly could. I would focus doing some of these vocal lines. I would focus on as far as I could of this very, very remote range that I would imagine would have been 80 miles away. And I would take each breath and I would kind of like travel there astrally, there and back with each phrase. And I would just like expand myself and travel there and back and make that a journey within with each breath, with each phrasing. And so it was a really wonderful and wonderful place for me to do that. Now
Fantastic.
that is in Central Oregon. That's the Obsidian Flow in
Yeah.
Central Oregon. This is one of my power spots. But yeah, you can go to a place of where it's just all obsidian and pumice, and there's these beautiful like shapes that take there.
I
It's beautiful
Doesn't
stuff.
look like that quite yet here.
Yeah,
I guess it's also important to kind of jump ahead and talk about
yeah.
the wondrous album that you guys have made together, Curandero, which
Those-
I don't know. I can feel what's wonderful is that I can feel both of you so purely in this, and in some wondrous ways, it creates almost like just a. Is it a darker place? I don't know, man. But I'm just saying that there are some absolutely just visual pictures that I can feel from listening to this album.
I can speak to that. Well, I think for both of us, I mean, we believe that this is well, curandero. That really kind of speaks to the curative aspect of this album, which is what we really kind of want to do with this. But it's not like a sound healing. Sound healing is like you lay down and it's like singing bowls and nice and relaxed and it's like this meditative thing. it's more of like a shamanic cleansing of where you kind of go and do some deep shadow work with it. And so that's an essential part of the process of any deep and transformative work. And so that's kind of, we have to go there. We have to go. We have to bring out, we have to like be a magnet for the stuck energy or the fear. We bring it out and then we kind of work with it to dissipate it. And that's essential for any kind of curative work. And so that's kind of why we do this. I mean, and that's been the color of my work, you know, since the beginning. Steve's Steve's music is just like a perfect, just such a fertile place for that to happen, and it just worked out so wonderful. I don't know if you can tell, but if you can see, I've got the
You're all
the album cover right here.
Oh,
I don't know if you could see right there. I'm sitting right next to it. I said this is from my it's like a version of my personal altar that's at home here. I don't know. You can see the prism there, and this is the death whistle here. That is all over the album. It starts the album, and yeah, it's a big part of the album. But yeah.
Yeah, I could say
We're
that,
doing it here.
yeah, the cathartic aspect of sound before music is absolutely core to all the work I think all of us are doing, Kevin as well, that
Yeah.
you know, that's the release and the places that we go, and that, you know, within the creative process, but then for the listener, we get, you know, we're all on common ground at that point, and that's where we get to share and experience the going beyond, you going deeper, going higher, deeper into all these different places through the power of sound. And that in itself has just been also the core of my journey. My you know, life in the sound current is just staying absolutely connected to that. And so that's really the you know, the meter that I monitor all of my work in, is like how, and what you said earlier about tears. I mean, before we started this today, I'm in the live room here getting ready for my performance in Tucson, in a beautiful new venue here in Tucson. And I hit that sweet spot with this piece, you know, looking out the view we're speaking of, and then the tears are flowing like for, you know, an hour ago, that place. And so Soriah and I, you know, we have, through all of our life experiences, I know we just instantly dialed into that sweet spot that we can tap into individually and then together. And so that the album, it really just it came together very quickly, you know, and there wasn't like a lot of having to evaluate whether something was working or not. We just could feel it and knew that, and it just carried us forward, you know, quite quickly.
Yeah, it's very natural, very, very natural.
a wonderful collaboration in the sense where it's almost like in some cases, Steve, how you're very effective at having your music breathes and it moves within sort of like a very human type of way of moving. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's spacious and powerful, but there's a journey there, and you guys are ping-ponging the balance. I can hear Soriah coming in with Soriah. Of course, you've been on here luckily many times before, so I'm kind of like
Just assuming everybody knows. Yes, yes.
everyone kind of
I
knows.
assume everybody knows too.
Yeah, so everybody knows that Soriah is Tuvan throat singer, possibly one of the best in the known world, practicing from Mongolia all the way back. But
Yeah.
the combination is not only brilliant in the sense like step traveler. I don't know. You've got, it's an ambient work, but it's at an extremely, almost seemingly fast BPM that really has a sense of urgency to it. But it's very still, calm, urgency, but a sense of movement again, of like the world is ticking past us, and be aware of your breath.
That,
Absolutely. Yeah. The diaphanous part again in there, but that's where Soraya with the just bringing in the long breath and bringing in the texture of the throat singing, and then the way that, I mean, you just explain that, Soraya, how you just dropped right in, right
so
on.
yeah, yeah. It's how many ways can you express singing one note? I mean that essentially is one note. I sing one note. That's one note.
Mhm.
And it's how like how diverse, how dynamic can you be? And just the energy of his piece just really just possessed me in that, in the rhythms and the trails, the fractalness of it. And yeah, I mean, there's all these harmonics that live within the single fundamental note that you can explore. Wonderful places, wonderful ways to express, spectrums and rhythms and breath. And yeah, yeah, it's just a vibrant place that my soul dances. When I heard that, it was just lit me on fire. And it just, it was essentially, that was the initial real spark of the
That was
album,
the
I
first
think.
piece that set
Yeah.
everything in
That we're
motion.
like, oh, yeah, 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 yep, yep. Well, I mean, why would we think otherwise? But yes, like, yeah.
Steve, did you know that there was a certain, like you were gathering songs for a potential collaboration, or did you guys kind of get inspired after conceiving the idea?
Well, we've certainly been in very similar orbits, especially in Tucson, where we both have closed out the All Souls ceremony, which is an amazing, it's the largest gathering of such an event in North America. There's, maybe 100,000 people at the end of that night when everybody comes in from the procession on All Souls. And so Soraya's played there many times, closed it out and closed the ceremony out. And I have also done the same. So we had that foundation, but we never met until what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. 23. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Wow.
so, and then things as they are, with how busy we are, we finally created the time to get together for 3 days. And then, that's when it just happened. It was just like igniting a fire. And instantly we had three pieces down. And I had foundational grooves, and Soraya had a seat la piece. The second piece on the album was formed. So we had these foundational pieces that, there's, like, I'm sure, Kevin, you have the same. I mean, everywhere I look in my studio, I have CDRs, SD cards, that, just all the sources that we would etch our energy into, in terms of recording for years. And so there's amazing stuff to draw from in the depth of, all of our combined history of what we've hopefully have recorded and kept track of. So, foundational tracks that are there, and they have an energy that continue to keep building and brewing. And then these were the kind of foundations that, on some level, for us got, on many levels, but that,
It's almost like a tarot deck or something like that. It's like
that's,
you
yeah,
have so many options, and it's like you pull one out, and it's like, he's got this formidable database of all this incredible music that he's compiled for decades, right? And you're not even sure like when or where or how it came to be or how it was even done, but just like you present it and then boom, just like format it right there, right then and there. And yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's that sonic archaeology, kind of
Yeah,
metaphor I
yeah.
use. I just
Wow,
like,
that's a new term. Sonic archaeology. I like that.
yeah, I'm
Steve is
digging.
full of these awesome terms, by the way.
So that one,
He's blessed.
yeah, that just, it's like having your shards and broken pieces
Yeah.
and things laying around, and it's amazing. And I'm sure you all find that you can take pieces, aspects of different stems, if you want to call it that, or grooves and rhythms or zones and sound worlds. And then something from 5 years ago could sometimes instantly fit with what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
it was waiting for that
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
that coalescence.
So
Something.
you know that you might have that one. Oh, wait, this. I see where this is headed. This might
Yeah.
be perfect for that or something. But
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
Soraya,
Yeah.
you've always had a deep connection to the land and the indigenous spirits of the land. And it's important to probably point out that a curandero is kind of like a shaman, isn't it? Someone that
Yeah, yeah. It's
that
essentially it speaks to somebody, I don't know, essentially of the land, who knows the plant medicines and the cosmology of that place, that particular place. And it's a Spanish term that was used for, like, the native healers there of that area, anywhere Mesoamerica, whatever. Um, but it could be, turned for anything that was, like, for like the ancient motherland of Aztlan or whatever. But essentially, all these, it actually is it's a living culture that is happening right now, and it's
I think I need one.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Well, essentially, I think, I have to say, Kevin, I think that our timing of doing this show is not necessarily just happenstance. I think well,
I
I think
felt it while listening.
we may fulfill some kind of need for you, and we're so incredibly honored to do that for you. And this is it's a pleasure. And I think I can speak for all of us here who are listening, is that we support you very much.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks, guys.
and we're supporting with our music as much as we can. And this is
Well,
how our music should be used as such.
that's what I was about to say. It like
Yeah,
absolutely was beneficial to me over the last few days when I was doing a deep dive through a lot of your material, and immediately as I was thinking as well as like what comes to mind is the possibilities of a performance between you two guys is extremely exciting.
mhm.
That
Um,
will happen. Yeah.
I'm sure that I mean I don't know what your plans are for performing, but
We
uh,
have done a couple of performances. We just have to make sure that it's not in 90-degree heat, like we did the last time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully something will happen down the road. Steve is a very, very a busy guy. He's got a lot of things going on, and but we'll see.
That
Maybe
particular,
we'll be forced to do it.
yeah, that show right there was great. The one we did at the Club Congress in Tucson, it was actually indoors, so we had the safety of weather there. And
Mhm.
you had just come from Burning Man.
Burning Man. I still have the Burning Man dust on my boots and my hat.
really, you guys did Burning Man.
No, no, he didn't. I
Right.
did.
Yeah.
I
Okay, you
literally
did.
got off the
Steve, I
plane
was going to
and
say, what about all that gear? My God.
No,
yeah, yeah.
I know that. I mean, I talked to Rusty of Soma FM, and that's where he first, was sharing my music there at the dawn of time there at Burning Man, and I had a lot of invitations, and I just couldn't comprehend, anything
I
other
wouldn't do it
than a
unless you had throwaway gear.
Maybe take a
yeah,
CD.
no, yeah, just a DJ set that would be
Yeah.
good. There's plenty of people doing that with my music out there, which I'm grateful for. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's a beautiful place for it. Actually, one of our pieces on the album, Stars of Darkness, one of my favorite memories of that Burning Man was riding out to the very edge, as far as you can go, out to the very borders of it, like way out into the playa in the middle of the night, and just stargazing with that song. That's just the ultimate fulfillment of that song, of that music, just really just putting yourself into that
yeah,
scenario.
that's the segue there. I want to speak with also to what we were just speaking with Kevin about in terms of the power of sound and music as a healing component is, um, I mean, my connection here is kind of there's a 3 point, the 2 points I mean, the 3 pointed triad here with Soraya, and then my early work with Jorge Reyes was very, very deep into the Curandero realm, and we did some, amazing concerts all over the world
Yeah,
together.
in Mexico City. Yeah, that one you
Yeah,
talked about,
and
that was amazing. Yeah.
in Europe and that sort of thing. But in Jorge's has passed on to the other side now after, many years of us collaborating. But our Vine Bark and Spore album from 2002, that's like created this term which was the music is the medicine. And it was really about focusing on not so much on shamanic medicine that you ingest, but thinking of music as something that has the same component to it, the same healing, like what we were speaking to, the curative power of sound. And so, in that sense, I think I think now at this, 2025, the power of sound and music, sound before music, is really at such a beautiful place of recognition and acknowledgement in all kinds of places, and in healing environments and more traditional hospital settings, all of those kind of places. I know I used a lot of my music in a home where my mother was at with Alzheimer's, and right towards the end, and the sessions I had there with sound and music that would bring some of the higher, more functioning Alzheimer's residents into clarity for even an hour. I could see that, just amazing. It was just, and then so that's a really big component for us here as well, ongoing for me, and I know for
It's
some.
a sonic Olympia. Hmm.
How did you get inspired to know that a synthesizer was going to be your method to touch these feelings that you had that you were going to eventually, for 40 plus years, be articulating through your music?
Right. Well, the direct experience of how that sound was changing me as a person was on one particular album, and that was Time Wind by Klaus Schulze. And so that was in the 70s, mid 70s. And when I heard Time Wind, that just, I was let's say I was in the dark, and then all the lights got turned on right at that moment. And so that's not a keyboard album. It's not, progressive. It was, it's not German school or Berlin school. I mean, it was just something that existed in its own realm. And so that was really, I attribute that particular experience as being my sort of not born again, but born into sound experience at that point. So once, you start researching, what are these tools? What's it take to make this? I have to be inside of this. So that's where the ARP 2600 became like the object of pure obsession.
That was the first?
The Roland SH3A single monophonic synth, and then you just,
Right.
drop into the drone zone, and then just play it through I had a, bass amp that I didn't know anything about reverb at that time. And there's a child right there. Yes.
Wow.
And, but yeah, then I always speak about the high interest 25% loan or whatever it was, because, I came from working class family, and, the folks were kind of, everybody around me was like, clearly thought I had lost my mind. There's my buddy Frank Bissell, who I've helped find his way into the world of music and sound. And that's part of the masterclass thing. And that's actually the lung at the biosphere.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's what I said it 2 times.
that's my carbon fiber didgeridoo, and that,
Nice.
and I can take it, the symbols into, it can be as tall as I am. So I actually had the opportunity a couple months ago to go in there with, it's now run by the U of A at the University of Arizona, and I know the director of the Andrew Weil Integrative Medicine Institute. We're talking about doing music programs in their integrative medicine program, but we got to go in and play in the lung, and the lung has some of the most amazing reverb that any human being or non-human being would crave to hear. I mean, it was
Wow.
like, I've never heard, it's not even reverb, it's just a wave of like what you play into it, and it just hovers in there for like maybe almost 2 minutes, it seems like. And so yeah, recording sessions in there. But so all of what we're speaking to again is just that quality of sound that just comes in and informs you at a level that you have to sometimes catch up to. And that's what happened to me. I had to catch up to, that's Serge there. Used to be Michael Stearns' Serge, that happened to just show up at the music shop in Austin for repair. And it was like, oh my God, I used to stand right in front of that thing in Santa Monica, and it was just appeared there to be repaired. So
Oh, it's
anyway,
not an acquisition then.
by someone, but they got it from Michael years ago. But
Yeah,
during some of the big rainstorms in Texas, the roof came down or opened up and filled it with water. So they were repairing there at
what
Switched On
is
in Austin.
what is that there behind you? What type of modular is that?
So
That
that's the foundation of the synthesizer.com, the
oh
large,
right.
but that was and then there's Moon Modular in there, and Gerd uh, sadly passed away, but he built a lot of Hans Zimmer's, large format out of Berlin.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then this is a 2600, my blessed 2600 in three sequencers, because one's not enough and two's not enough and three that's enough for a little while. But I had a blind craftsman rebuild them into those cases and the power supplies were then on the
Nice.
floor. So that was that was absolutely my monolith of prayer every morning, that I would be in front of. So
That looks like a micro moog down there. Is that?
that's exactly it. And so
Yeah.
I was running that for this is all tech sort of stuff, but I could take the Schmidt trigger out of the ARPs and then trigger that and get the wicked fat bass out of there with the micro moog.
Nice. This is must be what, right near the start, or is this one of your first?
Yeah, so if I got that first ARP that we saw earlier, when
Yeah.
I was, and
Expanded.
so then I had one ARP sequencer and the 2600 in San Diego, and by the time I got that in 77 or 8, and by the time I moved to LA, and I was kind of in the middle of the scene then, and was able to attract craftsmen and artisans of both electronic design. I had John Blassett at that time, if you know that name from the
Right.
Blassett Modular. He's passed away now, but he built up my first clock divider, and that was just something I imagined in my mind is I want to take a pulse out of a clock and I want to slow it down 4 times and subdivide out and have that be part of the musical mandala that is so much what I love in sequencer music. And so there's
That's forward thinking.
that's the beloved system right there. I was just in there, like I said,
Yeah.
shedding tears about an hour ago playing that, going, oh my God, this
Dual MAQs.
dual MAQs and the nice black ones, and then the Nordrack 4, fantastic combination. And then
Wow.
that's a Probe bass module that's built from a guy in Finland, I think, and a friend of mine, Kyle Wright, built 2 of those for me. But again, it's kind of like you're taking that 2600 picture from the dawn of time there, and this is the version of that you could do any number of sequencer-driven styles of music here, be it German school or Steve
Right.
school, or the
6 rows.
kind of work that you do, which is fantastic. Yeah, there it is.
The dual. Oh, there's 3 ARP sequencers.
Yeah, that's that same system. And then by that time, I was in cahoots with all the Oberheim guys, and they were in Santa Monica, at the time, and it was kind of like eating the food that they grow locally is how I looked at Oberheim,
Yeah, yeah.
because they were so close. And, I had like the Oberheim expander as a prototype I got to play with before it had
Classic.
plate or anything on it. So again, that was
I
another,
still see it there, Steve, in your setup.
yeah, no, it's
Oh.
fantastic. Yeah.
We've got tragedy. Oh well. What else have we got here? I see. Is that the ASM Hydra or below?
Yeah, I absolutely love the Hydra synth. I've got
Me too.
absolutely right. I know Glenn, Darcy there, and he's also an expander freak. So, the expander's sitting right above it. So you have the modulation capacities of the expander, but within, the beauty of that. And then also I have 2 of the small ones, the little, the
Oh yeah.
and those are every bit as powerful, but you can carry it on a plane, which is fantastic. That's a base station, no
Oh, okay,
base,
the base station.
right?
And
And
you've
so
got the Nords here. Is this where the MAQs are still?
exactly, yeah, the MAQ,
Yep.
and then a Nord 3 there on this, but this was at the big cathedral in Koreatown in LA a couple of years ago, where
That's
eight-
gorgeous.
Yeah, and then the .com hybrid system, and then the Nord 2X is below the mixing board. So all the shows I do, the mixing board is absolutely that's an instrument
That's an instrument.
Yeah.
yeah,
Is it
incredible.
is it because of effects, your usage of effects, or is it just that you? How do you like to work with effects? Do you have a
Yeah,
favorite?
like here's yeah, this was just recently at the Wiltern where I did my opening set for Blood Incantation.
I just listened to that. It's really good.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, the board is just the palette. It's where the colors and the paint really get mixed. And of course, I have 6 sins, and so I have external reverbs at Lexicon. The PCM 70, which it's still like you
So
could
great.
carbon date it how old it is. But
Yeah.
there's just a sound that's amazing sound. So delays, yeah, there we go. That's how all this stuff's been shipped around the last 2 years all over the country.
Man.
You know what that's about.
Yeah, that's pretty tight. That's not too insane. Have you developed a relationship with the airline, or do you
Yeah,
typically?
all that particular setup is being shipped around through Rocket Cargo. They do.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so they just come to my house, and I know those guys now. They're very cool, and they give me special treatment because we talk about you know motocross or whatever other stuff. So we bond with them, but they put it on a pallet, strap it down, wrap it in black material, and then it shows up like at Big Ears when I played there recently, or all the shows at Age of Reflections, what new, all across the country. It's cool. They pick it up and then they drop it that morning of the show at 9, and they pick it up at midnight, and it goes to the next place.
One
So
thing I don't see here is a computer. So are you still, when you perform live, are you recreating the songs with analog hardware, or what's your concept on that?
yeah, it's a hybrid system. It's been really evolving for all these years, but you'll see. Well, I'm kind of standing in front of it, but the 1010 Music Black Box.
Right, right,
So I know Aaron there, and that's been the replacement for Ableton Live.
right.
And so I would use Ableton along with this setup here, and I use that for certain sources, like say you know, the groove from Step Traveler. I mean, that's a massive track that if you're going to play it live, I can augment to it, but I have to have the foundation running off of Ableton or now the Black Box.
Right, right.
So so the Black Boxes really were a game changer. Now, how I led to the Black Boxes is that if you were to see me in the 90s, I had 4 Sony CD players Velcro to the top bridge of a Mackie 32 channel board. And I would do the same thing that then eventually I would use Ableton for, and then the Black Boxes to a degree, is that I would stem out certain aspects that they have to be there in order to build a set where you're not relying on 100% like modular or samples playing back, but you're using these foundational grooves and things. So I did what eventually was built for me to replace the CDs, but it was people would say, well, what are those 4 CD players? You'll see none of that there, but this was back again in the 90s, but I would have 4 CDs and they would have grooves, environmental sounds, and you can access them instantly. Just tap it 3 times to track 3, and then it becomes part of the fabric that you're already weaving. So it became a really organic way to have a level of sophistication, and it's the same as if you're a chef and you're cooking a meal. You want to bring out a meal that's going to blow people away, but if you come out and you start chopping up carrots and lettuce in front of everybody, it's going to be like 3 weeks later, they're going to get something to eat, so it's like outsmarting, or, just innovating a way to have the full spectrum of the emotional. It's all about, the emotional experience that I'm really so possessed to present live and have this, incredible journey like experience to where, there's no compromises, yet you're not, having an entire studio. While it seems like that to some people, it really sets up in an hour and a half and boom.
Excellent.
So
Wow. I mean, the thing too is obviously you've had time to develop what's your favorite setup and how you're going to work. But so many wonderful choral sounds that you have,
Yeah.
and depth on that, and movement and everything. Sometimes I'm wondering, um, like I I hear violins at times, but I'm not too sure if I'm actually hearing real violins or if you somehow just recreated them synthetically or something. But it's just like wonderful palettes of sound. What is your favorite synthesizers or gear to use for your palettes, for your colorings?
Yeah, that's a long list. But the core of that list is always the expander,
Really
the
nice.
Oberheim expander that you
Maybe
see
back
like in.
here.
So this particular show at in Pasadena was a really fantastic show in the big church there. But this was a setup that was set up out front of the main system because I was doing the opening with Structures from Silence, so I had to have the OB8 there. This was before the new, I have the new OBX8, the small version of it in a rack. But so I brought all the, I could drive out for that show from Arizona. But the core would be the Oberheim sound, and I still use the Wave Station and the Nordrax, and I mean all of those. I have a long-term relationship building a library of sounds, and then like the viola stuff or violin. I mean, my wife plays, Linda Konoff plays viola, so some of that I use as
Okay.
samples and that sort of stuff. And then
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just a hybrid blend of all these different textures to create this orchestral kind of combination that is my sound. Yeah.
Is there a piece of gear that you can't live without? It's like this I can't live without.
Yeah, no, the one that they're going to put in the tomb with me is going to be the expander, or
The expander.
yeah, and I have three of those that I was able to get at certain times when the value was way down, where they're not.
Lucky you.
Yeah. But I need them because they do break. I've had the power supply. I have one in right now in Portland being repaired. The power supply went down. So, but it's not about the shock of the new, as you know, I'm sure, with your collection of synths.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, certain pieces of gear you can always go back and say, oh, for me, it's like nothing to ever touch the Lexicon PCM 41
Yeah.
for the hands-on sort of discovery of like what, you know, at the time, maybe the first time you ever play it as a musician, you don't even know what you're doing. You just know what you're hearing. And
Right.
I always found that to be like sort of the moment of like discovery that you realize this is a question mark that I'll never get tired of.
Yeah.
It must have been like you when you first started getting your gear, you knew you were going to touch something that you were being, I don't know, did you feel that you were being driven to express something that was inside you in some weird way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it just
Yeah.
relentlessly um, burning inside. This sense of it's a kind of a knowing place that is so undefined to try to put words to, but it's a deeply powerful, resonant, almost a compulsion to draw that out and to create that space sonically and emotionally, and then have that continue to keep growing and growing in its intensity. And so, as you get deeper into time, i.e., another year stacked up on being on the planet, that just gets more and more powerful and more vital and vibrant, to tap into.
I think as well the things that are also quite amazing is the venues that you play. We're talking about natural reverbs and settings that are definitely going to be adding to the overall experience of your music. And I have yet to been able to. Oh, is this your entire crew here?
Well, I wish I had a crew like that. Well,
Yeah,
Nate,
no, I was wondering if you travel with
yeah,
us.
no, the Nate there is my beloved assistant with the green glasses, but that's when I was invited to play with Tangerine Dream for 2 nights.
Okay, there you go.
So there's Torsten next to me, and then Hoshiko, Japanese, violin player there, and then on the very end is yeah,
So no big tour bus.
yeah, yeah. And so that was the morning after the San Diego show. So they invited me to do an opening set in Tucson, my hometown. And so we hit it off instantly and played an hour. Almost, they usually do these half an hour sets sometimes in different cities with different artists. But so we ended up playing an hour, and it was about 11:30 at night in the parking lot. And they said, before I knew it, so let's go to San Diego the next morning and do it again. So that's what we did.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Well, this is the All Souls ceremony that Soriah and I have both closed out. It's fantastic in Tucson. So,
Suspensions.
well, that's really the energy that we brought to our album together was a lot of what gets activated when you're in that, creating that kind of ceremonial closure.
Yeah, but I just think that congratulations on not only having a vision about your sound and where you want to take it, but also being able to take it into these spaces that it's not a regular everyday setting that you're performing in, and
Well,
you're bringing in this wondrous variety of equipment and technology, and then control, and then presenting it in a space that's almost heavenly. It's just
no, it's
combination.
I mean, that's in Brooklyn, New York. That's a fantastic cathedral. I think that's where Jeff Buckley played his first concert, they told me, right there at that spot
Wow.
in New York. But
It's gorgeous.
Age of Reflections absolutely are the organization, the promoters behind this. They just did Cezanne Ciani and Grace Cathedral last night. And those guys, amazing. Brandon Shotwell, Bob Maynard, they're the two promoters behind all of these shows. We did 5 cities, the big cities across the country for Structures from Silence last year. And we're coming back to LA pretty soon. So we'll keep you in the loop on that. But
Excellent. Yeah, let me know next time you're in town. I would definitely love to drop
An
in.
amazing show. Incredible.
and yeah, and Soriah witnessed
Visually
it
as well.
in Portland, and we always have a absolutely immersive visual component where we have visual artists that of the highest degree, and they perform live and they map to the architecture of these magnificent containers, these spaces, because churches now are, certain number of them are, I don't want to say going out of business, but there's a shift in that direction. So they're doing a lot more cultural events and concerts in these beautiful classic churches. And that's the Boulder Theater there when I opened for the Blood Incantation on the premiere of their Absolute Elsewhere album at the Boulder Theater. That's
Beautiful settings.
that's the Vortex Dome on the LA Center Studios in downtown LA, and they had a big immersion dome there that I did 3 nights in. Milton Theater recently in August.
This is just in August, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great set. It's also available on your site. You have link it there to YouTube, and great performance. It's amazing how supportive people can be of something that is just so ambient in a live setting.
Yeah, across the spectrum too.
Yeah.
Across the musical spectrum. It's pretty
Yeah.
astounding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's again in the Wiltern. So, this I met up with Blood Incantation. Do you know anything about those guys?
I'm not too familiar, but I know the name.
Yeah, so check that out, and the listeners and the viewers here. These, I mean, they came from the world of deep metal. There's my assistant there waiting for us right there. And so, but it's progressive metal. I mean, their terms are vast, but I ended up meeting them in Tucson, and I'll tell the story quickly. But they played in Tucson a couple of years ago, and I heard they were in the local record store. That's Serena Gabriel, my assistant there, and also really gifted musician. And so they called me and said Blood Incantation is playing tonight, and they just bought Structures from Silence. And so Nathan Youngblood, gave me a call and said they're playing, and we went up and met them, and then they took me out to the tour bus, and they had like 5 of my albums on the bus, and then So, but I mean, it's, heavy stuff and, great. And I
Oh,
love
that's the old
metal.
church. That's in Portland. It's just down the
There it
street
is.
from
Yeah.
my
Good
house.
Nirvana right there. Yeah.
There you go.
And then Jeff Feynman, who we did an album together with Robert Fripp.
I was at that show.
Yeah. Nah, fantastic, man. Yeah. And you've played there a lot.
Yeah, my first album was recorded on that pipe organ.
Oh my God,
Does
man.
it work?
Yeah, it works. Yeah, it works well. It's beautiful.
Nice.
1867 Hook and Hastings
Did
pipe
they
organ.
did they let you play it, Steve?
No, we didn't have that opportunity, but we were in there, obviously, got in there late in the afternoon and,
Yeah.
you had to get it going there.
Gorgeous.
So, yeah, so the Blood guys, so anyway, we really hit it off as friends and realized we were both, drawn to each other's music, and one thing led to another, and then they did their new album in Berlin at Hansa Studios, and Tangerine, Torsten stepped in on that and did some sequencing, and things were all just kind of interweaving. And then when it came time for them to premiere their new album in America, they've been touring all over the world. Then they, asked me to open for them in Boulder. And, it was primarily their audience, a metal audience, but I mean, instantly when I came out, it's like seemed like I had a lot more. Well, they were just really enthusiastic. There's an album release around that, but you'll hear that. I mean, it's a live album, and you hear people actually, doing what you would hear at it in a metal or in a
Yeah.
traditional concert, but between my different passages. So I think because of the level of volume and the dynamics and the way I really push the edges and then pull it back in and have the breathing spaces and let you kind of integrate what just happened and then come back at it again. I mean, it's wicked, level of there's Jorge Reyes
Yes,
right there.
Jorge Reyes. Yeah, that's the Mexican.
You know what's funny?
Right?
Mhm.
Is you're the only other person I've seen play in the lava pit. We played there with legendary Pink Dots in 1995 in this lava pit.
Wow.
And I thought like, is this safe? Is this even humanly possible?
That's a great story, man, because so they were at the University of Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they bring power in like from almost a mile out or something.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Right. And
They build this stage and then they put the people in the lava area where there's got these giant holes where they can fall in and get hurt. And
well, then no, I mean, there was a lot of bloodletting in that concert. I mean, from audience and musicians. Then you can imagine at night when people are like completely,
yeah, I
and
couldn't
maybe different-
believe it.
Yeah. And
And
they
they're
have,
drinking like their palenque and all sorts of stuff. That,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. And
What's
so
it-
you can
what was
see
it
right
called? That's
above
okay.
the expander, they had a laser like going in like complete in, mirrors like all through the whole place. But yeah, no, these places outside or like you say in the sacred spaces, the churches, and I know Soriah plays in a multitude of really dynamic places. What's the most dynamic environment you could remember?
I played once buried in the ground in a in
Oh.
in a field, what was it like in a forest clearing. I waited about 3 hours for an entire kind of evening of performances, and then I was just right where everybody was standing, and I literally shot my arm up with this obsidian orb from the earth, and I had this a headset mic, and I just started my performance that way. Yeah,
Jeez.
I've done it in. I've performed up in trees, in ocean caves, things like that. I've done it in the swamp. I've done it in the swamp. I've
Yeah.
performed in the swamp. Of where, under a full moon, one time, knee deep. And we were actually, a friend of mine, he had this wonderful microphone where we were recording the gaseous release of the rotting vegetation, and it was like its own track that was accompanying us. But it was interesting. I had a frog track that I had recorded from another frog pond. And normally, you walk through like a frog, like where frogs are, and they'll stop because they know you're there. But we had this frog track. So all these frogs were like, who are these frogs? So we're going to start chirping louder. And it triggered this swamp cacophony of all these animals started like chirping. And so I was singing in the middle of this bog orchestra under the moonlight. It was amazing. So
Wow.
yeah, a couple of those things. Though that's
So that was not something you had electric going.
it was all battery powered.
Oh yeah, good. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a busking.
Michael Stern's right there, Michael.
Mhm.
Greetings, Michael.
I sing a lot of didgeridoo here.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he was a master didgeridoo player. Yes.
Yeah, I,
Flaming at that, huh?
pardon?
Flaming.
Flaming, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Serena she does performance with flaming swords and didges and whatnot. So this was the year of COVID, so they could not do an All Souls ceremony for the public. So we did it in what's called the annex there in Tucson. So they did the same performance and then it streamed it online. So we were able to fire up the didges literally.
Such a wide variety of amazing settings and stages, though. I mean, like, um,
Well, it really informs the music. Like I know, Soriah, you play in these and I know I can imagine for you as well, Kevin. I mean, these like if you play Mexico and that crater and all that stuff. I mean, you'll never forget it, and it's all part of
yeah,
the
that's for sure.
access memory for whatever we're doing. It continues to like things bubble up or some fraction of a memory of some really visceral moment, and then you bring that through in the music, and that's what I love.
There's still wonder of the world that's triggered, we
And
still wonder with this beautiful experience that we
Sarai,
have available to us.
you draw a lot of inspiration from Mongolia.
Well, Tuva, it's actually, I would
Cuba,
like to
yeah.
make that distinction. Yeah, Tuva is north of Mongolia. But these are actually pictures of Mongolia. Well, I've had to go to Mongolia for the last few years because of the conflict in Ukraine. It's not really safe for Americans to go there. So I have my son who's there. And so I went to Western Mongolia. I normally go there to visit him. So anyway, those last two shots that you saw of the nature spaces are basically the landscape of where I was able to audition different mixes. I would like go back to my hotel room. I was doing a lot of work mixing my own parts into what had already been completed by Steve. And so I would do a lot of the mixing, and then I would just walk through these wonderful places. And these are essentially these are the photographs of the making of the album. So
Nice.
that's me in the studio and with Steve there. And yeah, yeah.
Steve, I see a black keyed, is that a Waldorf Quantum with the black keys?
Man, that's a sledge.
Sledge. Okay, yeah, yeah, I did see that too. I haven't tried it.
Yeah, it has a Waldorf engine in it. It's Studio Logic, and they had one that was like, like that yellow that you could see from space. It was really horrible
Yeah, yeah.
fucking color. But this I found the black one. Actually, I have the yellow one at another studio space at the ranch I have with my wife, Linda. But the yellow one, I actually took it apart and spray painted it satin black 'cause I couldn't stand it so much. But that's part of the appeal. But anyway, the
Yeah.
black and gray keys, it's really cool. It's 3 oscillators, and it's digital based, but it's really kind of I don't want to call it a secret weapon, but it's a secret, not so widely acknowledged
Yeah.
synth, and they're very affordable, and it just all these have their own little place in the orchestra.
And
And
how do you feel about the Moog One?
yeah, that's a good question. I have not used it so much in the last year because I've been so focused on playing live
Right.
everywhere. But you'll hear a performance I did with it during COVID that's still gaining lots of like. I can't believe that's coming out of there. So that's a laboratory machine, and some of those machines like that, you just they have their place and time when you're working on a project, like I'm sure you have there with your collection that I've seen pictures of. And again, at certain times, the fact that it has an eventide space reverb built into it, which is brilliant.
Right.
And there we go.
Well, this is actually the track that actually starts the album. This is
Yeah.
the recording of the beginning of the album. That's that.
For
So
a second, I thought you were doing that live right now. So.
yeah, no. These we have to talk about these. They have, I don't know. We're kind of aficionados as it comes to like shakers. There's some really brash ones and whatnot. These, for my ears, they were just so fantastic, so soft and beautiful. And what are they exactly?
Yeah, so the Indians in the the indigenous Huichol here, or I mean yeah, I'm blacking out on that for a sec. But anyway, those came from they're like the the deer dance when they would put those onto your
The
ankles.
yaki?
The yaki, there you go, thanks. And of course, and so those are butterfly cocoons that have dried out, and then they have seed, like sand inside of the pods, and then they're sewn onto these ankle bracelets, and then so in the deer dance, then that's where you would hear that sound.
They're extraordinary.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if I almost can grab them over here and
Well,
display.
what do they sound like though?
It's
Yeah,
just
let me-
a wonderful, soft, pleasing. It's not like hard, like beans inside a plastic maraca.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like you take that, and that's like, the cheap sound. You
Yeah.
get these very, very, very nice, balanced, wonderful, gorgeous sound from these. Okay, he's got them. Yeah. I heard them and I was like, this is extraordinary.
Yeah, so I don't know what it's going to sound like. Maybe
Oh, it's going to be canceled out, right?
Is it?
is it?
I don't know. Let's hear.
Yeah.
You can kind of hear it, but
Anyway, you can imagine that. But
Yeah.
they're very,
like a shaker.
they're very,
They're
but
very
really
soft. It's a
organic.
very soft, pleasing shaker.
Yeah, it's almost like an ASMR sort of. If you get really close on your ears and just barely move them, they really light up some part of your consciousness.
They were used in Sitla. They were used in the percussion part of Sitla. You can check them out there.
Yep,
The second track of the album.
perfect.
Steve, you've been touring portals and spirals for the last little while. Is that something you've been up to?
Yeah, that piece has been developing over these few years with the different cathedral concerts, and I would be starting the concerts with that kind of energy, and it continued to develop. And then Chuck Oken has a vanity label. Chuck Oken owns Rhino Records in Southern California, and the store in the Inland Empire, and they've released a handful of these beautiful packages. And Richard Pinhouse was the first release that they did. So
Super nice.
Okay,
Nice
the-
packaging.
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they invited me to do a special for the label. And so right in the middle of all the touring last year, I just spent like 3 days recording and just captured, absolute pinnacle moment here of that whole spiraling universe that I live to present live. I mean, it's so, I hope you can hear it someday, Kevin, because it's really, really wicked, And the
I'd love to.
the live presentation of this kind of music here, So it's just
Did you play a part of that at the Wiltern in the
I
Wilderness?
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I recognize it because I listened to this. I went down the hole, listened to a whole bunch of your albums to refresh myself, but also I was checking in with my crew here, and we were all sort of bouncing back and forth favorite.
Uh-oh. Digitizing out.
Freeze.
Kevin's frozen.
I mean, time to thaw. All right.
You want to speak to that while he
Yes.
unfreezes?
If hopefully we're still all out there going. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that style of this style of what I call mandala uh, based music is just it's been developing for my entire.
Oh, looks like okay, where are the hosts now?
Okay, he'll come back on.
He'll come back.
So yeah, the sequencer music, that's one way to put a word to it, but it's something way beyond that, and just the layering and the way that you can have all these different uh, juxtapositioned patterns that are operating and flowing at different tempos and different timbres, and it unlocks something in consciousness that to me there's no other way to get there. And I have an album called Skeleton Keys, and it was titled that in terms of the sequence. This kind of music is like a key to a door, that the only way you go into that place is through that style of music. So it's really that sort of piece.
Okay, I'm going to take over.
Yeah,
So, can I ask you a question?
please.
So,
I'll ask you.
I know, no, I'm going to take, I don't know, just in case we're still live, and just
Yeah.
in case. So, I mean, music is a meditation, right? And your music is very meditative, and it really speaks to that meditative quality. Do you use any other types of kind of techniques, meditative techniques? Do you prescribe, or like Buddhist meditation, or do you do that in your own personal life, or?
I can't really. I mean, I've studied TM, and I know, and I occasionally can drop into that approach to meditation with a mantra that they give you and that sort of thing. But
Mhm.
it just ultimately my meditation is the music.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Kev.
Yeah, we were still live. I got
I was like, what's
confirmation we
going
were still
on there?
live.
Okay, well, I'm
We
back.
were
Thank
still
you.
live.
I figured out how to get back in the chat. So,
Okay,
can we,
Yeah,
great.
gentlemen?
we
What?
Yeah, you left and we started talking about TM. What do you know? No.
Started talking about cool things, I'll bet, too.
TM, right?
What,
we
what,
were
what did I miss? What did I miss?
we were in the sequencer realm of that the portals and spirals and that stuff, that album and the music of recording that, and that's a big part of what I've been playing out live. So yeah, I've been fine tuning and evolving, and that just before we got on with the chat, I was in the live room, and I mean that's just such a magnificent place to enter into, and it's just it's always evolving and changing, and then the discipline and the release of discipline to do that music in the present moment, where it's like you're spontaneously composing, is really a big piece around that right now, because there's so many options with like the sequencer setup that we talked about and all of that, and then the relationship with that, but then ultimately where you want to take yourself and the audience with those kind of forms. And yeah.
I think quite a few people, when they speak about your music, they probably commonly go back to a few albums. I know that Structures from Silence is absolutely something that somebody refers to
Sure.
almost first on the list, it seems. From
Definitely in my
1980,
case. Yeah.
1984. I mean, Steve, are you kind of like making classics already on what, like, was that your second album or something at that point?
Yeah, so okay, I've got the gear in the later 70s, and so 78, and
Wow.
the first release was Now, appropriately on cassette,
Right.
and that was in 81. Um, um,
Which we pointed out the ritual continues, the beautiful voices, Inquest, the violin sounds on
yeah,
absolutely classic.
so all that was created in my little bungalow house in Culver City, which is still there, and tiny little place. But that was my first real time room, little the sanctuary of having the safety and of an environment that you felt fully protected and safe in. It was originally a little house. It was built for the studio workers at what was MGM Studios, and before that, it was actually Hal Roach Studios for the way back then. So in any case, yeah,
So yeah, now in the days of cassette, I mean, everything good always starts out with cassette.
man, and there was Option Magazine. I would send it in to get a review, hopefully, and then you'd get a review. And then at that point, I took an ad in Option Magazine and started getting orders that you would send out. And so the whole cycle of someone hearing it in a magazine, you paid for an ad, and then within about a month, they would then get the Now cassette sent to them, in Austin or wherever.
Did you
So
ever hear this thing called Clem magazine? It was the contact list for electronic musicians back around 80 or 83, 82, 83. That was like, I don't even know how, but it was compiled by a guy in Vancouver named Alex Douglas.
huh.
And basically, it was this like quintessential book of like anything electronic and all these most smallest cassette labels and places that you could write away to get a list or something for cassettes. But that period in time was such a wonderful period because you knew you weren't going to hear or see any of this stuff anywhere else.
Man, you're so true. And was it Clem out of, I mean, there was Clem in the Netherlands, I know. But this was out of
It was,
Canada?
yeah, it was originally released in Canada. It could have been re-released in the Netherlands because
Yeah,
it was a worldwide list.
because Clem came out of the Clem, I know, Klem.
Yep.
And so uh, Fritz Kroenberg in Netherlands, I mean, he brought me, I played at Klimfest for 4,000 people in 1990, and that's when Klaus Schulze came to the concert. I mean, it was like, having a Godfather come to visit, or
Oh
see
yeah, for sure.
your show or something. There's pictures of that up there somewhere. But yeah, that whole period when it was absolute do it yourself. I mean, Robert Rich he was deep into that whole world. That's how we kind of met up, where you had to do it, and you'd do it yourself. I mean, Structures was first released by me on a cassette the same way, and then eventually it made its way to Stephen Hill hearing it, and then a record label out of Northern California put it out officially. But yeah, you had to, have this level of ambition and to to get it out to just 100 people or something at that
For
time.
sure.
So,
Traveler, Worlds, super cool sequences, Reflector, beautiful melody.
thank you.
Let's keep going. What me and my crew were making reference to.
Yeah, that was the
That's
first.
1983, huh?
Yeah, that was really my first release on vinyl, and it was with a guy, Bobby Helm, who worked at Chrysalis Records. But they saw me playing at some club in Venice and got all excited, and so they put this out on an independent. It was like to have an album at this point on vinyl at that stage was like
Yeah,
that was it, man. That was
absolutely. 83 is like the golden years.
right.
You mean Venice, California, or Venice, Italy?
Venice, yeah, Venice Beach.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I played in some clubs and places there that were. And so these came out, this came after Structures. So after Structures was released, there was like immediately that art, people wanting more of that. And so what they got next was, these shorter, high energy, sequencer woven adrenaline driving pieces. So I was already like shaking people up at that point in terms of, well, we want more Structures. And it's like, well, this is what I'm doing, right now here.
Urge, beautiful sequences, as you said. The Memory, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Release, a 26-minute epic. I mean, you're already like completely taking the reins and just defining like that. Let's not skip Structures from Silence. So Structures from Silence. When I listened to it the other night, I noticed that when I was listening to Quiet Friend, I had just glanced over and I was looking at this picture of two of my cats that had passed away. And then
Mm.
there's a picture behind that of my dog that passed away. And then another picture next to that of my other cat that passed away. And I just looked at them and I said, I miss you guys. And I instantly burst into tears.
Oh man,
And
it's beautiful.
the song was completely like playing like almost comforting, but like absolutely allowing me to kind of like release.
Mhm.
And you know what's really odd is that I was kind of facing these pictures over here, and my cat that I just got recently, who really reminds me of one of them that's passed, jumped and plopped into my lap and laid on his back and looked up at me in my face and it doesn't normally do this. It was like just looking up, like, "What's up? You
No, they
okay?"
know. Yeah, they're
And I looked at him in his eyes and I thought, like, "Well, gee, thank you,"
that's
because like, you knew like at this moment. So I wonder sometimes if sound can have an effect also on animals.
no, I see it. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel, and that's a beautiful story. I mean, and then I mean, the sentient nature of human beings and animals, I mean, they feel and they tune in, That's, in fact, that's the name of my new album in February is Sentient Being. And it's, my wife and I have horses and goats and an incredible dog that's, just like a person. And you can feel that kind of emotion.
yeah.
That's all that kind of
Cool dog, by the way. Yeah,
Ravi. Yes, Ravi.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that quiet friend really, I mean, it was, it was for a really quiet, delicate moment with a friend, but in terms of that energy of that piece and the gentle aspect of it, it completely speaks to everything that you're sharing. And
To be quite honest, it kind of made me cry again when I looked back at the song title and I hadn't realized that it was playing Quiet Friend, and I was like, oh my God. Like
that's
Yeah.
perfect.
it's like just why don't you just nail me against the wall right now with my
That kind of
it was
speaks
really
to
wonderful though. I mean,
that kind of
that's what I
speaks to
love about your stuff.
my original experience with this album. I used to be a massage therapist, and I was always looking for music to massage to, and I found this album, and it was just a yeah, it just like you said, it kind of gives people license to kind of release. You hear it, and you're just like
Yeah,
it.
like
You
reflections
are
and
able to just
suspension would be perfect because it has like the breathing, the
hmm
feeling of of motion of breath and humanity all without words. So
yeah,
Steve,
yeah.
you're an absolute genius when it comes to expressing emotion with your music, and I think that it's amazing that 1984 works is still as fresh today as it was then. There's
Man, I'm
really
so
no loss.
so grateful and thankful for you acknowledging that and sharing that. And it's an awareness I never take for granted or forget and tuned into. I mean, it's just my practice, you might say, or the discipline of being connected to that place that's just deep and pure and it's like instantly connecting me into that core of what I've discovered in myself somehow, through the upbringing I had and through the influences of all of that and responding to it in a way that was uncompromised and just somehow, navigating through a lot of really narrow passages to be able to be at this moment right here, right now, um, feeling more inspired and vibrant than ever.
Oh, excellent. Glad to help encourage you even more. And Youngblood Sound says Quiet Friend was my wedding walk-up music. Yeah, no, that's there you go. It's very it obviously had an effect on people. I mean, though some people amongst, the whole electronic aficionados might say that your Dreamtime Return is really what you might want to call what your one of your it's like your Sergeant Peppers are almost. Many people refer to this album
I've had
as
people say that too. That I mean, the Sergeant Pepper's thing. That's cool.
Magnificent Gallery is to me the definitive. What I was saying to you earlier, the crier, it's like absolutely touching that part of the human soul that is is passionate.
Hmm.
And that's I can't think of a better example of it, to be quite honest.
Man,
It's an
that
absolute achievement.
love. Thank you so much. That piece live is just, I can get through it. I can play it, but the emotion that comes through playing it live especially in a cathedral like space or even, at the Wiltern or there's something where it just transcends whether you're a headbanger or you're, a 10-hour-a-day meditator. It's right there. But part of that transmission that happened in Australia and visiting and spending deep time in those sites that very few Westerners had ever seen, and all that transmitted and got embedded into my consciousness that helped bring that.
Another desert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. The Grand Desert, it was,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
And if
So,
that's what you absorbed and were able to project, then that was a successful venture because it
yeah,
just
yeah. And then,
absolutely,
I
I could
mean,
feel it just still.
magnificent gallery that took, like, we would get dropped off by helicopter, and then we would hike for 2 or 3 days with the crew to go back into these spaces for this documentary that was documenting the Aboriginal early, rock art. And again, these sites were I mean, they were impossible to find if you didn't have the archaeologists and the people that understood where they were. But then you would get there and you'd come into Magnificent Gallery, and it was just that. It was this massive wall that swept around like a big movie theater, and it had, like, how many years, who knows, but all these stories were on this Magnificent Gallery over time. Hundreds and hundreds of feet, like just amazing documentation of the all the way to the point where you could see early Aboriginal life, and then you would see a man, Western human being, riding a horse coming in. So you'd see this whole progression of time right there.
Wow.
So yeah,
So you recommend going then?
yeah. To get the right tour support over there, yes. But
Yeah,
Australia,
right.
yeah, amazing. Yeah, certainly.
Well, it's great that, finally the Grammy community has come to realize the significance of your work, and a couple Grammy nominations, Spiral Revelation, and congrats on that, and Molecules of Motion, 2018, 2017, 2018. So,
Very real. I mean, if the short story short on that is, I had no idea anything was submitted. No, there was no campaign, nothing, zero. And Howard Givens, who on the Spiral Rev, he mastered the album, and he just happened to enter it that year and told nobody. And there was nothing, there's campaigns and ads and thousands of dollars spent and all that stuff. And I just got a call that morning, and people were saying congratulations, and it was like, about what? And so that's when all that unfolded. So, but yeah, it was
yeah,
surreal.
congratulations, though. I mean,
Thank you, man, for that.
for that. Yeah.
But it was so surreal to have no knowledge of it, and then I was very moved that the appreciation and the awareness of whoever votes in that world, were able to call that forward. And then it happened again the next year under the same kind of conditions. So there's some kind of, other cosmic force going on there at that time. So
Steve, with all the releases that you've made, do you have a favorite that you feel is the one that the most special for you?
yeah, that's a big one. Certainly Dreamtime. I mean, that's the core of it all down in there.
1988.
Yeah, Dreamtime. Mystic Chords is another 4 CD set at that time that's still like the next, I would say, chapter or culmination of what was happening in that first period of time, up past Dreamtime.
I
And
think you might be one of the most prolific artists that we have ever had here on Sunday Live Chat.
yeah, that's pretty. I don't know what to
That's
say.
pretty extensive. Um,
Yeah,
I had Graham Revell on recently, and I thought, like, wow, I didn't realize how many movie scores that he had done, but his
yeah,
music kind of like from making that one album, Zamia Lamani, basically it got used for the score of a Dead Calm, and then from that point on, he was kind of like in a 20-something year career with film scoring. I'm kind of expecting that, like, how many of pieces are used of yours in cinema?
yeah. not so much.
There
And
should be. That's what I'm saying. You know, it really
yeah,
is.
I mean, I've
We're
had,
working on that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when I lived in LA, there'd be certain flirtations with that, and but I was really protective too of that, of entering into that world as a composer. I was not. I could see early on. I'm not. I don't have the well, I'm just protective of this, everything we're talking about. And when I could see entering into having meetings at studios, which I did, I drive onto the Warner Brothers lot and they start talking about deadlines and all that stuff. It scared me out of there, because I could feel that it was starting to,
Oh yeah, that can
um,
ruin it.
yeah. But I've licensed a certain amount of music, like there's pieces in the Heat, the film Heat, the Michael Mann film, and those
Right.
kind of that mailbox money is cool when they license stuff. And then the Jeff Feynman, my friend who worked with Robert Fripp, he had a company for the longest time that would do music placement for pre-existing tracks. So we would have that going on in there. And at one point, I got hired in by Kevin Costner's company, and they flew me in and all that. And I was going to be part of a soundtrack for a big Hollywood film. And I could that didn't work out for me either. It's just I could feel that just the kind of claustrophobic nature of how that would affect my core, desire to do what I do on my terms.
Someone is saying, just to clarify, do you know Steve's album titled Tomorrow is a recent favorite of his?
That's important.
The true.
But as far as the Youngblood quote there, I have to say that, yeah, Quiet Friend was the walk-in music, and then I was the reverend that did the wedding for him on that. So,
Oh wow, okay, there you go.
yeah.
Let's take a few comments from the people out here. So, we're at that point. Chris Bellevue, a huge Steve Roach fan. This was my favorite release with him. Speaking of Curandero, in a while,
Nice.
just an amazing album, and it is, you guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for doing a chat around this album, especially with everything going on. Michael Parker, thanks, Chris. Michael Parker, oh hell yes, Soriah is my favorite new artist. I discovered you through. I discovered through me, okay, and I'm so thankful to have discovered him. He's truly something special, magical even. His opening performance for Bauhaus in Portland a couple of years ago changed my life. There you go.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Chris
Yeah, that
Willoughby,
was
I see a tesseract in the art. What's a tesseract? Do you know what that is, guys?
that's correct. That's
Do
correct.
they enjoy thinking about higher dimensions? May I recommend the book Surfing Through Hyperspace by Clifford Pickover, in case you don't know. It's like the X-Files, but Mulder and Scully go through higher dimensional concepts, fourth, fifth dimensions, written by a mathematician. Don't know. Thanks, Chris. Imploding Signs. Oh, snap. I bought Steve Roach's Structures from Silence when I was 16 in 86. Been a huge fan ever since. Totally makes sense. You would be into him, a true master in ambient. Yep, and
Thank
someone
you.
else says this right here.
Thank you.
Matthew Gerbo, I need to revisit his catalog. Dreamtime Return is a longtime favorite of mine. And yeah, that's what we're talking about. Kind of like his Sgt. Pepper's. Sean Above, no way, I love Steve Roach. Oh yeah. Hail, holy carp, this is incredible. Steve Roach has been one of my biggest influences after you, Kevin and Vangelis. Well, gee, I've been listening to Steve since I got the impetus so long ago, since I go impetus.
Hmm.
This is truly legendary. The two most massive musical influences on one chat. Well, gee, you guys are being so nice.
Man.
Numb in a Space, dang. Somehow managed to delete my comment by accident, but I was going to mention that by coincidence, I finally found a vinyl copy of Steve Roach's first band he was in called Mobius,
Mm.
released in 1979 at a record store here in Denver this past weekend. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah,
Mobius?
that was so Bryce Robley and Doug Linner were the I met them through Synapse magazine. Did you see those early magazines?
Right, yeah.
So when I was working in an indie record store in La Mesa, those magazines came in the late 70s, and that's when the whole born again electronic musician mentality was kicking in for me. So it was like wherever, whatever, So I contacted Doug and they had a phone number on there at their offices, which were right near 360 Systems, Bob Easton and all that at the time, and Silver Lake, LA. And so this was like this kid in San Diego, just like crazy fervor. And so anyway, I went up and met them and became they friends. They were both Cal Arts graduates and had studied with the famous, Subotnick and Harold Budd and that sort of thing. So I was younger than them, but they saw the enthusiasm and that sort of born again synth guy look in his eyes, and just brought me in, and I became a third member in this synth trio, which was it was really based on their music, and it was more Devo new wave kind of stuff at that point. So, but we did have the credit to play the first concert at the Troubadour of a synth band
Wow.
in 1980. They let us in on a Sunday afternoon, probably.
Are you
Linda,
kidding? That's fantastic.
and then Linda Ronstadt played Saturday or something, and we're loading in at 3 in the afternoon. And did this, and they had Surge. I have the video of that. I'm going to put that up pretty soon. But they were playing Surge synthesizers, and I had the ARP, and it was a moment in time there. So, but that's where I met up with those guys, and so then they put out this album, Mobius, and it wasn't like of course, the Mobius from Germany, but spelled differently. But it was a synth pop deal. But it was, I got to work in a studio with tons of synthesizers.
Nice.
That
Right off
Oberheim.
the bat.
Yeah, Oberheim four voice and Aries and all the modular stuff at that time. So that was all part of the paying the dues, and also getting your hands on the gear that you could never even think you would be even seeing, in person.
Yeah, really. Congratulations on that. That's great, and a great story. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Numina. Tim Gross, wow, Steve Roach was literally the first music I ever got into as an adolescent. I own nearly every album he's recorded, over 100 of them in vinyl. Wow. There's
Oh, we're going to work on getting this on vinyl as well.
Oh, that would be
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah.
Year,
It's the
yeah.
perfect length, right? It was like 51 minutes or something.
Well, no, we've got to cut it down a little bit, but yeah.
That's
I
easy
think
to-
51 you can do. 51 is okay. And you know what? I was also thinking that length for an album is also perfect performance length. You guys could do the whole thing.
Yeah.
That would be lovely.
I would love to see it for one thing, you guys. I know that Soriah,
I'm always down for that. Yes.
one time when I first met Soriah, I knew of your capabilities and stuff. So I said when we were coming back to perform in town with Download one time, hey, would you like to come up and do a song or something with us? And I suggested this one piece, this really long piece. And he's like, yeah. And when I showed up, you looked like a tree. I mean, it was like this most amazing.
And I actually
outfit.
learned the harmonic part of the end synth of Download.
Yeah, that's right.
The Skinny Puppy song.
And I was just mind boggled. So
I learned that.
I wasn't
learned
expecting that, and it blew my mind
the
wide open.
melody at the end of Download.
Yeah.
In throat singing. Yeah, it was my honor.
Thank you for that. That
no.
still lives on. I think
Huge.
that was 2010 or
Huge
something.
thing for me to do. Yeah. It's great.
Thanks for the questions there, Tim. Brent Richson, more power to Steve Roach and Soriah. I am more from the Soriah angle, but have some recordings from Steve. Glad to know of this collaboration and look forward to this chat. Not so many questions, but if the artists have any anecdotes to share about the recording process and any remote development, I'd be interested. Not all of us can be in the same city, so artistic process via internet communication is of interest. Did you guys, it looks like you were in the same studio when you finally came together to record.
Yeah, we did. But say like I after we had our initial meeting, we needed to kind of do a little bit of mixing on my end for my portion of the tracks. My instrumentation. I put some death whistles, some percussion, some flute, some suling lalove, an Indonesian flute, and of course the vocals and stuff like that. And so I basically kind of took that portion of it, that aspect of working on the album, to Mongolia with me, and just kind of went to work on it there. And so
that's great to get that influence of being there, and everything around that environment just adds to the richness of it. And then so we had our initial 3-day session that really built like the core of the album, and then you did your piece in Mongolia, and then the final, I think we were like a week at the Time House.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where we really coalesced everything together. And
Put everything together, assembled everything. We had a couple. That's where we did Shard Tribe,
right.
the last bit where we kind of put that together. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, that was a fun piece. I really, really enjoy really sinking into that piece. That's the last piece of the album.
Right.
That features me kind of like putting
I
my
love how that piece is Shard Tribe
yeah,
Mhm.
is like an incantation, but a visit. There's like a journey and then the incantation. Does that make
Mm.
sense? That's what I kind
Yeah.
of got from it. It was like we're traveling to the shaman, and then now the shaman's in front of you, and you're basically you're
yeah.
feeling
This
like
is
the
I've been looking
Curandero.
forward to this point in the conversation because this is where I can geek out on my little thing. I used a little uh, basically it's called spacecraft. It's basically just an app. You guys are talking on the synthesizers. I use an app. It's a granular synth called Spacecraft, and you can essentially just record anything into your phone, and you can just mix and twist and turn it. And it's funny because I made this scratch track just to show Steve how that would sound against the music that he had created already, and I had no intention on it actually being the final track,
Oh, I see.
but he's like, "Wow, this sounds perfect," and I was like, "No, you weren't supposed to like that.
It
You
doesn't
weren't
matter
supposed to
where
like
things come
that."
from,
You're like,
as
"Oh no,
long as
no,
they're the
this
right
was just
emotion.
what it's supposed. This is just what it's supposed to sound." But then I had to kind of let it go because I mean, it actually, I mean. Oh, I had an in-person listening party here at my place a couple days ago, and I just sunk into it, and I just could not imagine it being any more perfect than it was. And so,
Absolutely,
yeah,
man. And then,
yeah,
and the whole idea of the Shard tribe are these pieces and
broken
fractured
pieces
aspects. And so
yeah,
your vocals that are being shardified,
yeah,
and broken down into pieces. I mean, it was so symbolically perfect, but sonically absolutely engaging and surreal.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm hooked on that app myself now. So,
yeah.
Oh, really?
on my,
What's it
I mean,
called?
I'm not a guy that admits to
Spacecraft,
being hooked on anything.
Spacecraft?
yeah,
Yeah,
spacecraft, yeah.
Is
check
it?
it out there,
It's an
audience.
iOS, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it on my iPad, but I mean,
Was it free? It's free or it's super cheap.
um,
Anyway, yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
Yeah.
was whatever it was. But it's running it through the board. I mean, it's amazing. It's just it could be a $500 Eurorack module,
Yeah,
but
exactly. And nobody ever knows where if it's coming from.
and it does have
Something like
it
that.
absolutely matters not, because
Yeah.
then, especially you do a little bit of processing and put
Yeah.
your DNA you put it through your DNA course, and then boom,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
beautiful
Thanks
stuff
for the
there.
question, Brent. Hi,
Yeah.
Brent.
What was that? Did you have a question? What were you saying?
No, I was just thanking Brent for the question.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, thank you for the question. Penelope Courtney, I'm very interested about this collaboration between Steve and Soriah. I ordered the CD, but will listen to the files in the meantime. I'm doing a show with David J in early December, so I will be sure to play some tracks off Curandero between sets.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I'm a good friend
Excellent.
of
Thank
David
you.
J's. Yeah. Yeah.
DARP, Steve Roach is amazing. Looking forward. Well, we all know that Steve is definitely the man when it comes to ambient, the world of ambient sound creation.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And in the meanwhile, I just love inspiring, anyone who wants to get in the sound current with me. It's just love the process and the inspiration and sharing that and
I'm
hoping.
looking forward to experiencing you live. I've yet to experience you in one of
Oh
these
man,
Quite
environments,
amazing.
so keep
It's
me
quite
posted.
amazing.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Like an
What
exponentialization of
is there
the
anything planned as far
Well,
as
yeah, the Age of Reflections team that have been doing these big shows with me all over the country. We're talking this next week about L.A. That's where I want to play next in one
it,
of the big cathedrals down in Koreatown.
oh man. Well,
And
keep me posted. Love.
You must know Alessandro Cartini.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. So
He lives in Portugal now, though.
right, and but we met up. Actually, I put together one of the first modular um, room for a Tape Out magazine. Had two conferences in Tucson in 2006 and 7, and I put together the first modular gathering of all the modular guys at that time for that.
Oh,
And then
nice.
Alessandro came over for the first one, and we met up then. And so he's been doing shows with the promoters at Age of Reflections,
Oh, nice.
and they're trying to put something together, potentially with us together in the show.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so something like that, but it'll be coming, and those guys have the visual piece together. I'll keep you in the loop on that for sure.
Keep us, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hale says, no questions, just a gigantic thank you to both Kevin and Steve, and I'm going to say Soriah too. Two musical North Stars for me. One of the earliest electronic albums I ever listened to was Impetus. Then Structures of Silence just washed over me and reshaped me from what ambient could be, or reshaped me. So massive thank you. Numinous Space says, one cool venue connection you and Steve have is he played the lava field at University of Mexico.
That's
for
rare.
the LPD shows. Yeah, we were just talking about that.
That is very rare. Yeah.
What a coincidence. You're the only other person that I've ever seen that has actually shown a picture of where we're in that same. You're in the same.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
At nighttime, the atmosphere there at nighttime. My God, man.
Yeah, like
There was a
no
lot of bloodletting there. If I mentioned that before, people falling and getting cut and scarred and stuff there. I saw it during the day with the crew.
Yeah,
A lot of like an Aztec, sort of deal going on with the
Okay, challenge accepted.
challenge.
It's up to me to get a show there too.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. So I trust that. Yeah, or at Pompeii, exactly.
Right.
I trust that the impetus from today's chat will hope to facilitate the possibility of you guys performing together. I really encourage people to listen to the album, but as well, hopefully can experience it live. Yeah, fantastic time talking with you guys today.
Yeah.
Steve Roach, you have a wonderful steveroach.com site here where you can get lots more information and you can see some sands of time or all sorts of news here, recent news from live and anything you want to look at basically here. So
and of course Bandcamp is our home for us, and
Bandcamp, make sure that you guys go and check out the Curandero here at I posted the link here with the chat.
Sweet.
But absolutely phenomenal. I listened to this album twice. I always find that that's when you're really blown away by something, when you listen to an album twice. It's like, I need to hear that again.
man, well, thank you so much. And
Thanks for having us. It's always
I've
lovely
been
to
doing
visit.
a deep dive into your music, Kevin, and it's really blowing my mind right now. Download,
Wow.
really. I mean,
Thank you, sir.
I've
I am-
been,
And the new album, Astral Elevator, is just amazing.
So I'm
Thank
gonna
you very much. I really appreciate that. And I really think that we need to all hang out. So
Yeah.
We will.
whenever that's possible,
Let's plant a seed
keep us
there,
posted.
yeah.
But
I'm going to be
Guys.
over in LA soon, so we're going to
Okay.
make that happen.
so I'll have you on my mind. But this is great, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Soriah, thank you so much again.
It's always good to
Steve
visit.
Roach, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep up the
It's an honor.
geniusness.
Very honored to be on your show. I've been hearing about it for a long time.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for all of your support here on Patreon with all of your comments on the side here. And keep it up, everybody. So have a wonderful day, guys. And I'm going to go listen to it again right now.
Thank you so much.
Ta, everybody.
Blessings to you all. Take care. Thank
See you
you.
soon.